Hey everyone, I'm Kunal Bajwa.
And I'm Lance Jordan.
We are two nerds who decided to start a podcast in 2020 due to the pandemic. No topic is necessarily off the table, and we'd like you to join us in hearing our thoughts on various topics, ranging from anime to Zeppelins. We have it all. Here we go. Gloria, in excelsis Deo. Went to Catholic school.
If you're gonna sing it, you gotta sing it like you mean it.
Gloria, Gloria, in excelsis Deo. That's all I remember.
I never knew what the song actually sounded like.
I went to Catholic school, so that was one of the songs. That was actually one of the better songs we had to sing.
That's what you sing in Catholic school, Gloria?
I mean, that was one of the songs.
Like, what is the theme of the song?
I mean, I just remember it. Like every time I hear that name, I always think of that song.
You know, like Mrs. Jackson was by Outkast was talking about like how they did the daughter wrong. Like, what would Gloria's like?
No, I think it was just praising God and everything.
Oh,
yeah.
So Gloria is praising God.
Yeah, I think the name in itself, like Gloria, like the name translates to pleasing God. I mean, there's got to be
pleasing God.
No, like no, not like that, you creep. Way to make me out to be worse than I am.
Oh, praising God.
Yeah, it's praising God.
Oh,
I love this setup we have right now.
Pleasing God.
It's like not that part, but like, well, if you want to please God too, that's cool too. But like, I'm talking about the drug dealer, like the rich drug dealer setup I have right now.
Yeah,
we
got the white table.
That's right.
Set up by the kitchen counter.
That's right, because I just moved to my new place.
Yep, new place. This is the third location that the podcast has been recorded in. This is the third apartment.
That's right.
Since the podcast's inception back in 2020.
I was thinking about that today, actually. I was like, we have switched. Like, Lance has seen 3 different places.
Most podcasters don't barely see more than one location. We have seen 3.
Hey, that's what makes ours great.
We have went to recording at your first apartment kitchen table, to a blanket fort, to
I was thinking about that too.
Right. To a new table.
My ass was so sore after that.
Right.
My God.
To now we're in this new place. I'm on the couch. Kanal has switched spots at least 3 times already.
Hey, man.
He's on the floor now.
Way to rat me out. God damn it.
He's going to switch spots again.
I'm not going to switch spots again.
A historical moment in podcasting history.
Well, today is a historical moment. It's bittersweet, but it is historical for the pod. You wanna fill us in?
Yeah, this is I guess the Lance Jordan NoWay Home episode. Spoilers if you haven't seen the movie.
If you haven't seen it.
This is where, I asked Doctor Strange to erase Lance from podcast history. But yeah, this is my final episode as a
co-host.
What would you say? Co-host. Yeah, that's a good word.
Co-host.
I was about to say main character, like we were in a TV show.
I mean, we kind of are.
Right. That's true too.
We're both people of color. Sometimes I just feel like we're a TV show. Sometimes.
Yes.
Just in the way that the world works today.
Very true. Very true. The way the world. But yeah, this is my last. I guess
last one as a co-host, but you'll be like it's like the Power Ranger, like the second Power Ranger version that they did. Like they're still in there's that classic Power Rangers episode where it was still, I don't remember which one it was. It might have been Turbo, but one of the original one of the older Black Power Rangers comes up and still has his like transformation thing. But Alpha's like, don't use that. It's not good for you to use. You could hurt yourself. But the current Black Ranger doesn't believe himself, but they're good friends. So, yeah, so you're like that dude. You're like still like a definite part of the They Need a Hobby podcast family. You're always welcome to come back,
This is where we cue the applause and the sad music.
Ba, ba, ba.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a really great ride. It's been fun. It's been exciting. Had some really great moments. Talked to some really great guests.
We did.
had some really great topics.
We talked to some bad guests. And
I mean, you talked to some bad guests. I don't think anybody that I talked to was a bad guest. Just putting that on the record.
That's true. That well said there. I'll give you that one. No, I'm glad. I kind of pushed you into doing this, and my bad if I maybe pushed you a little too much with that, but I definitely was nervous starting a podcast, and this is sincerely, I mean that, like, helped me get my feet wet with the podcast, so I really appreciate that, brother.
I mean,
thank you.
2 years.
It's kind of nuts, right?
Yeah, that is kind of crazy when you think about it, where we started, everything that was transpiring during that time.
Yeah, 18 months, roughly, like that.
Yeah, and then to see where we are, where the podcast went, is a really incredible feat. Yeah, I will say
it's cool. Like, if anything, just your friends, like, you tell your like we totally became those people who are like really annoying. It's like, hey, listen to our podcast, we're really cool. And then some people will be like, will not even say anything. And then I've had people come up to me later like, hey, I was listening to this episode on your podcast, and I have to do a double take.
Right.
And I'm like, oh shit, you've actually been listening? Like, that's really cool.
I've had friends that listen to it, don't know what the fuck we're talking about, don't know anything about comics, but will listen to it out of support. So shout out to them.
Oh, that's actually really beautiful.
I've had friends like Ahmad that we had on, who was
Sneaker
down
King
from day one listening, and then got to be on it. I have friends who like never would have thought that I would be recording a podcast or in a podcast at all.
Yeah.
I've heard from them. I've actually, weirdly enough, at one point had a girl ask me about it in a like kind of flirting way, like, oh, what is this about?
I mean, it definitely is something cool to say to people. It's like, yeah, I run a podcast, and they're like, what?
Right. It does kind of spark the
conversation
because it's one of those creative fields where you can kind of say that you're working outside of the norm, and I think that attracts people.
Definitely. No, I agree with that. That's definitely the coolest part. Yeah, man, like, it's been fun to do, and then we've both been having some life changes happening. You're getting a new job.
Yeah, I'm getting a new job. I will be outside of St. Louis, still in Missouri. That's all you people get to know.
What do you mean, you people?
You people. All of our steady 15 listeners. That's who gets to know.
There's some good 15 listeners right there, man.
We've had a couple in between that, but
we really, honestly though, we've had a really good turnout, just in terms of numbers, in terms of people, and the stats say we're reaching all the way out in Singapore. So
hey, Singapore
makes great food and great podcast listeners.
Right.
Apparently,
shout out to Singapore.
Singapore, like, problematic government at times, but I'll take it.
We recognize Taiwan here.
Hey, we do recognize Taiwan. They make excellent bao.
That's right.
That's for sure. What? Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Who's the basketball player that was supporting? Like, came out of left, like, out of down the court. I was gonna say left field, but that's a baseball reference.
Yeah.
But like, who is it?
I think it was. The thing was, like, Enes Kanter, who is now Enes Freedom, he was calling out LeBron James for not speaking out against it, since LeBron is like the face of the league.
Pretty much.
And the NBA was trying to do, like, I think they were like trying to do this partnership with China, like this expansion to where they could like send teams over, kind of like what the NFL is doing. Like, they'll send teams over to play games in the Chinese market, because you get these certain markets, you get like all the sponsorships and the money, and they
make everything there.
Yeah, absolutely. So
it's like inescapable.
The league has been kind of quiet about like China's like irresponsible governing. So
China is it's such a mammoth in terms of everything. Like, Hollywood's afraid of them.
Yeah,
in terms of their industry,
apologizing.
Right. I mean, that's part of the reason why you mentioned Doctor Strange. That's part of the reason why Kevin Feige made instead of having like a Tibetan person that teaches Doctor Strange, they made it a Celtic warrior. Tilda Swinton and everything, and later I find out like that's why they whitewashed it. Like, yeah, it's horrible, it's Hollywood, but they also realized if they didn't do that they would have faced a ton of backlash from China, which is weird because like Shang-Chi like killed it.
Yeah.
In every facet of the form. Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. I would wonder why.
Like, it's still bad. Don't get me wrong, but I get it.
Because I did hear that, and I was like, okay, they whitewashed it, and at the time of Doctor Strange, is like you think about it, but it was kind of like a good movie, and I kind of liked it, the actress, so I didn't really care.
That was the thing too. I actually did like her.
Yeah.
I thought she was good. But yeah, it was heavily whitewashed and whatnot there. But he killed it in the new Spider-Man movie. He did great.
Oh yeah, so let's get into that. So you've seen it?
Oh yeah,
I've seen it. I'm hoping everybody has seen it because we're gonna talk about it.
That's right.
Before I go, what is your thoughts, reactions? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, this is like the 10th Spider-Man movie I've seen in my lifetime. So 3 with Tobey, 2 with Garfield.
Yeah.
This is the 3rd with him, so that's 8. That's 8. So
I mean, if you don't count like
Avengers and stuff.
Yeah, like Captain America, Civil War.
Yeah.
Avengers. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like specific, like exclusive to them. This is 8, which is
9 if you count Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, good point. So 3, 2, 1.
So 9.
So 9. So just under 10. I loved it. I thought it was really heartfelt. I was very annoyed with Zendaya in the first 2 because I was like, okay, like, I don't know what you're trying to do. She's just kind of a downer the whole time, like playing the whole goth vibe or emo vibe. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. In this one, she still had that personality, but she
opened up. Yeah. Right.
She opened up a little bit. And in the way that her character developed, like we saw more in their relationship. We saw more from her, and the more like I was like, oh, okay, Zendaya can act. I feel like the writing has really improved in the past, oddly since the pandemic happened for Marvel. I definitely saw it in Shang-Chi, which I hope we talk about a little bit today.
Yeah.
But you asked me about Spider-Man, and yeah, I loved it. There was definitely like what I think was the best in this, because with Loki opening up the multiverse and all these things coming out of like giving us more options and more views into like what they can do with the incoming phase 4 and then subsequent phases, is going to show us that, you know, there's going to be more than one story to be told. And then before they do that, they wrap up and make everybody who like grew up seeing Tobey Maguire and then you saw Andrew Garfield, kind of gave them closure.
Yeah.
Which I thought was the best thing that happened. Like, there was a part of me that was like, it's just nice to see Tobey back in action. Because he kind of had, the third one was just kind of, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield, I really felt bad for him when they announced the new Spider-Man, because I was like, I thought he killed it as Spider-Man.
I did think he did a good job, and it's weird now because it's almost like everybody saw No Way Home, and now they're like petitioning for him to get a third one, when it was like, back then when it was like Amazing Spider-Man 2, everybody was like, get him out of here, we're done.
I mean, it's good to know that I wasn't the only one. It's kind of like when I heard Brendan Fraser's coming back in movies, and I always liked him in movies. But then we got to hear his story of what happened to him in Hollywood. Essentially, like, I don't really know the whole story, but essentially he got shafted for dumb reasons. But yeah, I was glad. I loved like the goofy parts. I love that they just had fun with it.
Yeah.
They had fun with it. They kept on calling Andrew Garfield amazing.
Yeah, I love that because
I love that.
Because it was there was a thing in Amazing Spider-Man where it was like he was kind of like almost like an emo Peter, where he wasn't really confident in himself.
No, there was more in the movies. More Spider-Man than we did Peter Parker.
Yeah. And I loved how Toby was like, "Can we pause for a minute? You are amazing." Like like I felt like that was the confident boost he needed. I feel like him teaming up with the other Spider-Mans was like, you know, and he's like, "I love you guys." It's like something he needed, like his character. And then like even when he saves Zendaya's MJ,
Yeah, man.
That was like a redemption. I felt like that whole thing
oh my God.
was like a big redemption for him.
For Andrew Garfield, for sure.
Yeah, for like, even if they don't make Amazing Spider-Man 3, like,
some wounds have healed, essentially.
Yeah, like, you could, like, this was like a wrap up for everybody. Like, all right, he's redeemed himself. He can go back to his universe and be like, start to make amends with himself and like,
right,
kind of be the Spider-Man that we know he could be.
100%. Like that moment, like when the second one came out, and I knew when Stacy was gonna die.
Yeah.
And like all through the movie, I was like, oh, okay, she's not dying. And then the moment I saw her fall, and I'm like, oh shit, this is it. And then when he throws the webbing, and then you just hear that.
That's it.
That snap.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh, like there's just a part of me that just broke inside.
When I was in the theater, there was a part I was like the web, it gets her. I think you see that first, and I'm like, okay, he caught her. Right. Like I remember yelling out, he caught her, but then like, boom,
the whiplash.
Yeah.
I'm like, broke her neck.
Oh shit.
And this time he was like, I know how to do it, so he grabbed her entire body instead of just like jumping down, instead of just using the webbing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it felt really good, and you can tell that the emotion on his face is like, "Are you okay?" Mm-hmm. He's like, "Yeah, I'm okay," and he's like, his voice is cracking almost from, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know if this happened before or after it was released, but he just lost his mother in real life, the actor, and so I wonder if that was kind of that kind of flashed in my head as that scene happened. He showed up on Stephen Colbert and talked about, like, a very beautifully losing, like, his mom. I think to natural causes or whatever, but still, so I really was appreciating that, because I really felt he didn't get his due process.
Yeah.
For Spider-Man. So yeah, I love that. I love the closure it gave. I love that Doctor Strange is much more cemented in who he is. Mm-hmm. It broke my heart in how it ended, because like Peter basically is on his own.
Yeah.
And he didn't even graduate high school. Like,
oh yeah, he had to take the GED.
He had to take the GED, and he's living in a crappy apartment. But everyone he loves, like even Happy, he doesn't have Stark Tech. He doesn't have anything.
He doesn't have Aunt May.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
sexy Aunt May is gone too.
Sexy Aunt May is gone. I saw a meme. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. That was like, Peter's a better man than me. I would have wished for Aunt May to forget she was my aunt.
Oh my god, gross.
But hot take. I think it was the most complete Spider-Man movie we've ever seen from start to finish. I think it was the most complete Marvel movie we've seen start to finish.
I agree.
The best Spider-Man and Marvel film. I think from beginning to end, I think this was the best Marvel film. And when I say that, I mean just in terms of, from the beginning, they grip you all the way to the middle, to the end. It's just like well done all the way through. And I say that putting it against Marvel Endgame, which I think for the majority of Marvel movie fans, they would say that it's the greatest Marvel movie, I think. But the reason I put Spider-Man above that is because, like I said, it's just a really complete film, just a bunch of tear-jerking moments, well acted.
William Dafoe comes back.
William Dafoe steals his scenes.
Honestly.
Doc Ock steals his scenes.
Yes. Even the rest of the villains, like everyone had kind of a closure or redemptive kind of like time on screen.
Absolutely.
Even the villains, especially the villains, actually, in a lot of ways.
Which you don't get to see a lot in Marvel films. But I think for me, like, Endgame was great, but there were moments where it was a bit slow.
Yeah. That's the problem with Endgame. It's like almost 2 movies.
Yeah. And I feel like no superhero movie will ever beat from when the Hulk snaps his fingers to the end of Endgame. I don't think any superhero movie will ever beat like that level of cinematic greatness.
Yeah.
But I think for me at least, it's hard to ignore how great this Spider-Man movie is. Yeah, I mean, it was Toby in it. I think as someone who grew up with him, it was great to kind of finish, kind of see where he was at, to have his story, ended.
And he kind of hints at it, like, yeah, MJ and I finally figured it out. We got married, and he aged really well, honestly.
Yeah.
He looked really good.
And just to see them like all save their villains instead of killing them, was a good
they
moment
actually
too.
Tried, and then that super dramatic point where he catches Peter, and
the goblins
from killing Goblin,
from making his mistakes, and then like even with like all the callback lines, like how he sees Doc Ock, and Doc Ock asks him like, "How are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm trying to do better." Like, it was a callback line for Spider-Man 2.
Right.
So, I love the movie. Definitely think it's the greatest Marvel film that they've made. Yeah, just where do you go next?
Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be, I mean, they already know. They already have that stuff written out. I mean, what with the Loki season 2 coming out with the multiverse, and they're going to tie it together. Like, this is not the last time we see Tom Holland's Peter Parker.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Whether it's Tom Holland or they recast him, I do kind of think Tom Holland had a good point. Maybe you tell Miles' story and then bring him back in for like a second one where like Miles and Peter team up or something.
Yeah. Kind of like how they did in the video game recently.
Kind of, yeah. I think the issue with that, though, like with Miles, is like a lot of his origin is kind of Peter dependent.
Yes.
Like,
that's true.
If you go to the comics, like originally, like he becomes Spider-Man after Spider-Man dies. So you would need to put something like that in the film, or if you do the video game, he becomes Spider-Man basically after knowing who Spider-Man is, like working with Peter,
right,
in some way. So, and then Into the Spider-Verse, like,
got to find Peter B. Parker.
Right, exactly. So there's a lot of Peter
dependent prime Spider-Man.
And I don't want them to like just basically retell Into the Spider-Verse. So
yeah, don't do that. We've seen enough. The problem with taking, I'll say this till I die, this is the hill I will stand on. Like, the problem with taking so many fantastical anime, comic books, cartoons, and putting them into live action is just that. It's too fantastical to do it. And maybe one day when technology catches up and it's not goofily done, and it's also not written all by the suits, it'll work. But right now, I don't really see good examples of that. Like, it's really hard to take something so convoluted, honestly, because comic books are so convoluted. Forget the universes. Like, just think about like one storyline, and like we've covered storylines of comics in the past, and we've all heard your hatred of Captain America, but regardless, it's very hard to do that and put it into that. Like, we kind of saw that with Cowboy Bebop, even though I liked it. Even though I liked it.
You liked it. Okay.
I liked it, but like there was choices and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like they did things to really Hollywood it up.
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense to me. Like Julia should have been, spoilers, Julia should have been an assassin. She should have been in the syndicate. I don't understand why she was just a fucking like pretty face. Like that was it.
Right.
She was gorgeous. The actress is absolutely beautiful. But she was nothing but a singer. In the anime, she's a fucking badass killer. Who actually has far more agency there than she did in the TV show. She was like, fuck this triangle, I'm gonna go do my own thing, and hides until later in the show. But I will say that I enjoyed watching it. It brought back memories for me, and there's some great parts in it I liked. There were some choices I didn't like. It's not a cohesive story. That's the thing with Bebop. It's a bunch of adventures, and some of the stories kind of like add to the other stories later on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of like older like 90s shows that were like notorious for that, where it was like we're just gonna go on a bunch of adventures, and then eventually we'll leave like subtle things in there that like eventually it all connects near the end. But yeah, it's one thing I always say to people, who are like comic fans or anime fans. It's like, when Hollywood gets a hold of something, like they're making these shows not for us. It's for a casual audience to bring them into the world.
And I get that. I really do.
Yeah.
But it sometimes when they just make weird choices, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know where they're going with it. Like, Vicious was done oddly. Vicious was just like a psychopath in the anime. And this one, I appreciate that they try to flesh out and give a 3D character.
Yeah.
But I don't think they succeeded with that.
So I've only watched the 2 episodes, and I talked to my brother about it, but Jet was probably my favorite character. He was like almost the most true to character.
Even down to the voice.
Yeah, very much so. Vicious, they liked that he was like a white-haired swordsman, but other than that, they didn't care about. Like, he was obsessed with running a gang. He was trying to do his own thing with drugs, and
I didn't like how they made it into a "Daddy doesn't love me" scenario.
Yeah,
that was kind of annoying. It's the reason I'm laughing is because my friend Sid, shout out to DeBuff Gamer, DeBuff Nerd, he posted this picture of like Vicious like drawing his gun and stuff. He's like, the guy who plays Vicious in Cowboy Bebop in the live action version looks like a brother that will tell you about crypto. and I couldn't help but I was like, that's fucking hysterical. I love that. Yeah, that's the end of my story.
That's crypto. All right. So Shang-Chi, I know it's been out for a while. What have we got to talk about? God. I've seen it how many times have I seen it? Like 2 or 3 times.
I've seen it twice. I loved it both times.
You loved it both times?
I loved it both times.
It was good.
I had to piss like a racehorse the first time, but I stuck through because I was just enjoying every moment of it, man. Like, from the casting, the choreography, the music, the comedy, I can't wait to get that on Blu-ray. Because I'm one of those weird guys that still get the Blu-rays.
Get the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I will say that I do hope that the main character, the actor,
Simu,
I hope we see more of him in like these action movies. Not to stereotype him or typecast him in certain positions.
Totally.
But I feel like he could be the next Asian action star after like Jet Li and Jackie Chan.
That's a huge compliment. I would like to see him definitely get bigger, for sure.
Yeah, I would love to see him get bigger. Not just in this role. Yeah, the movie was great. It was one of those, like, a good story. I didn't have too many problems with it. There was a part where he went to go kill the guy who killed his mother, right?
Yeah, that was his first hit.
Yeah, like, that was his secret. I would have liked to see that scene. Like,
I think they're holding it on for the sequel.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think so?
That's my guess is, because like they've left a couple things there that they kind of just dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Like Katie, his friend / possible love interest in the future,
right?
Mentions that it's like the time that I did something horrible and the government came after me, and they just like don't mention it again.
Right.
So that obviously is a seed that they're throwing in for later. The whole thing about him doing the hit could possibly tie in with the Jackie Chan possibility, because everyone's talking about bringing in Jackie for the next role. I know we talked about, you said you wanted him to come in as a villain, which I think would be extremely interesting.
Yeah, just because I think it would be, at this point, it'd be a different role than I've seen him in. Like, he's always been the good guy. It would be
like the slacker good guy comedy. Yeah.
Like, I feel like I've seen all these other action heroes like in like a villain type role before.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of interesting to see Jackie, and then it could be like, I don't know how much more acting he's interested in doing, but I kind of feel like it would be a nice little farewell to the American box office, at least, to like have a big box office movie that he's in.
Oh yeah.
Before like kind of going away.
The problem, like there's been so many issues he's had with doing movies in America. Number one, Hollywood is racist as fuck. Number two, anytime he tries to do like stunts or anything, there's a whole bunch, like the rules in Hong Kong and Asia, much looser than they are in America. That's why he's able to do much crazier stunts in his Hong Kong like movies. Because he did the Rush Hour movies, he got pissed off with that, and then he ended up doing a movie called Gorgeous, which Tony Leung, Shang-Chi's father, is in that movie, and he plays like a really problematic gay character, but which is unfortunate because Tony Leung is known for like a masterclass actor in Hong Kong cinema. He stole the show on Shang-Chi, honestly, in a lot of ways. This is Wenwu, and just because like he was such a compelling character. Like you see, at least I found it to be compelling. I still loved Shang-Chi, and I loved how Simu Liu did it and everything.
You know what my issue with his character was? He was this conqueror, this really powerful human, essentially. He was just really powerful, you know, had all the control, power, money.
10 rings, all that stuff.
Yeah. And so my thing was like, he gets the girl of his dreams.
Yeah.
He settles down. And she gets murdered, but that kind of, like that one murder weakens his psyche so much that this demon who has been locked away for centuries is like just calling out to him and is able to get through. And I think that if you were somebody who was like
thousands of years old.
Yeah, I just feel like for the purpose of the plot in the movie, you're like, okay, I'm gripped, you know, I get it. I understand why he turns evil. But I think if you sit back and you're just like, this man has been alive for a long time.
Like he's seen empires rise and fall. He's probably been a cause of a lot of rise and fall of empires.
He's so powerful, and yet this demon entity
was able to fool him.
Yeah,
I get you on that. It's actually a really good point.
I think that's like the only like plot hole I just found in Shang-Chi that was like,
it's, you know, the term that they use, it's like the thing that drives the plot. It's a weird MacGuffin.
Yeah,
it's a weird MacGuffin that makes I don't know about no sense, but it makes too convenient a sense. Shang or his sister don't even entertain the idea of like, hey, you know, our dad's seen some crazy shit. Maybe it's something that we don't understand.
Right, like
they don't even investigate it. They just take the people of Ta Lo's word for it. Supposedly, I mean, they were right. Like they knew exactly what was going to happen, but it was too convenient, even for like a movie.
Oh yeah. Because it was like, no, our dad is crazy. And I think that was the thing, because Sean was just so hurt because he was trained as an assassin, but then like ran away to escape him.
There's so much we don't know.
I don't want to,
honestly.
And that's the thing too. I don't want to like question things in the movie because I really like the movie.
You can.
Like I really want a sequel. Like I liked it a lot more than I'm like starting to think like there's these inconsistencies. Like his sister, he knew his sister was back at the mansion. Like he didn't want to go save your sister.
So there's a lot of things that fall into this. As the more and more I get into any kind of media, whether it be like people from, so obviously everyone knows, you know, my family background, my family culture background is Indian. Whenever I see East Asian culture, comedians, whether it be Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, China, Japan, etc., I am surprised at the amount of relatability I have with them, just in terms of understanding. Phrases that we see, dynamics of families, it is kind of like really, really, really interesting for me, from my perspective. The backdrop of a lot of Shang-Chi is just hidden trauma. And keep in mind that he leaves at 14. He's barely a teenager, hasn't even done adolescence. I think by the time we see him when the movie starts, he's younger than both of us. He's like 24.
Right.
So keep all those things in mind. Your brain doesn't stop developing until 25. And it's not a big shocker. I've alluded to it a bunch, but I've been definitely like, you know, had my anxiety and depression, and I've had, you know, lots of therapy to get me to a better place, and highly recommend it, you know, especially in this weird time. And the backdrop of a lot of this is just the inability to process trauma and the fact of not knowing what to do when you're in such a terrible family situation. Not to say that I'm in that situation, but I've seen things have happened. Everyone's fine, but like things have happened and dynamics were understood from me and my perspective. And I know that if Asian families are similar to my own culture and experience, there's no talking about trauma. There's no talking about mental health. There's no process of all this stuff. I'm sorry if I'm ranting about this, but the reason he doesn't go back is because, quite frankly, he didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
He's been taught for 10 years of his life just how to kill. And it's a big problem in Asian communities where, like, the men are expected to be a certain way. I mean, you could say that for around the world, but really, really so. Especially since he's the firstborn, too.
Yeah.
That plays a big part in it.
Not to make light of the situation, but there was that meme where there was like, what's the most unrealistic thing about Shang-Chi?
I was laughing pretty hard about that, actually.
And I think it was the mom saying, I love you.
Yeah.
To Shang.
I mean, there's a stereotype for, like, Chinese parents as well as, like, Indian parents, too. It's like nothing you do is enough. Like you get a 98 in a test, and your parents will be like, "Where's the other 2%?" And like, well, great, thanks. That is very real.
Yeah, I remember seeing that and be like, "Oh shit!" But I have seen that in like other media. I feel like I had to have because where I see like India and like Asia, like in the media, is like different shows is what I'm talking about. Like, you'll see like the characters' parents are just like pushing them and pushing, like, you have to be a doctor, you have to be an engineer, like you have to be.
Exactly, and that's 100% accurate. My parents definitely wanted me and my brother to be doctors. My dad still casually says, it's a 9-to-5 gig, it's no problem. And I'm like, what doctors are you? I mean, those are like established doctors who are just internists. Right.
You're like
this is like 15 years down the line.
Right. You're like the general practitioner. Like you're just the dude I go to. Like
it's not a casual job.
Like your primary doctor that you just like, how's my weight and height?
Yeah.
Like okay, 9 to 5 office hours. I'm out of here. Like
right. It's not like that.
The ones at the hospital. Working the ER, Grey's Anatomy type shit.
Plus, it's way too much pressure to have someone's life in your hands. For me,
yeah.
For me, like that's
a lot of pressure.
That's not something I definitely want. And the problem is a lot of those cultures, especially those generations, are right after World War II. So it's a lot of countries get their independence, especially India. 2 years after World War II, India gets its independence. My parents are born 10 years after that. So what gets you money? Not acting, not performing. Like there's a meme. You talk about memes. Like there's a meme on the internet for idiot people, and it's like, Dad, I want to be an actor. And he's like, Beta, it's pronounced doctor. Don't worry about it. So yeah, that's kind of the thing that happens with that. Like it's a lack of sightseeing on what the state of affairs currently is. So
I always thought it was like there's a thing in America, and I always assumed that because it's only portrayed like this in like TV shows and movies, that I thought it was like with why the parents were so hard is because they recognize that they're immigrants, their kids need to
be better than them,
be better, but like be the thing to where you don't have to suffer in a way, or even to be like just better than the white kids or white families, because there's a thing in like
you become a trophy.
Yeah, well, yeah, at least in black families where there's like you have to work harder than like the white person that you're competing against or in class.
Yeah,
like me and my white counterpart can go to the same schools, have the same grades, have the same GPA, but the opportunities are going to be easier because they're white compared to
they get that that 1% betterment. It's just from being the way they are. Yeah, that's one of the layers that adds into it as well. They don't do it as much anymore.
I mean, it's a stereotype, but then it's like probably a unwelcoming stereotype where everyone looks at you and they're like, Kanal knows math.
Right?
I know he knows it,
and I'm really not that good. I'm really, I like algebra, but which is even a goofy thing for someone to say.
Right.
But like I'm not very good at math, and everyone thinks my dad's a doctor, and I'm like,
right, exactly.
And I'm like, no. And my dad actually has he's been asked people have come up to him multiple times. I'm dead serious, and have been like, hey, I just got over cancer. These are my medications. And my dad would look at their medication and go, looks good. And then they would go straight away. I'm not even joking, man. This has happened at least 3 times that he has told us about.
Yeah.
He used to go to a store, and the guy that he got along with to sell him wallets and shoes, he kept on calling him Doc. And my dad's like, I'm not a doctor, but he just kept on calling him Doc. And wow. To the point of like, okay, this is weird. Like, my dad just really did. He went into a different field. He did property management and was very successful there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a stereotype because it's based in truth. Like, you see a lot of Indian people in the medical field. That's not wrong.
Right.
But like, that's not the only thing we do.
I will say maybe it's an advantage to where like
and how people see you.
Yeah, because it could be like you're applying to like a certain school and you're actually going into that field. It's kind of like, oh yeah, they're gonna be good. Like, or they'll be like, we're gonna accept this person because we think, insert Indian name, is gonna be the best doctor.
I was actually just talking about this the other day. The stereotypes you have for Indian people is like, why am I complaining about a stereotype of being a doctor, or like people thinking that I'm a doctor or in med school or something? And I'm like, because like there's more to me than my stereotype. Right. There's more to me than that, and there's more to my culture than Deepak Chopra, Gandhi, and the Kama Sutra and yoga, and all of us being doctors. Like,
yeah,
it's a weird thing when the stereotype is a prestigious stereotype.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because then like on the flip side, like in Black culture, there's like you're a rapper or a basketball player, and it's like
you can't do anything else.
You can't do, like, if I don't have any of those skills, then I'm just like a
what
thug.
The fuck are you?
I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm a thug on the street. But like if I, say I'm doing well in a certain job, right, and I've got money, I can go into like some high end retail store and like afford to buy things, and everybody thinking like, oh, he's either a football player, a basketball player, or a rapper. And it's like, those aren't really necessarily negative jobs, but it's kind of,
those are not your only jobs.
Right. And it's very skill dependent, where it's like not every Black person is going to be able to dribble a ball, to catch a ball, or to
not every Indian person
rap.
Can, perform surgery, or,
right.
Like, it was weird going to SLU, and I don't know if I've talked about this on air before, but when I was at SLU, it was like I was watching a fucking nature documentary. A lot of and this wasn't everybody, but a lot of the Indian kids that I would see would creepily like connect with each other. A lot of them from Chicago. They would coordinate from their high school in Chicago to where they were living at SLU, and then like I would be walking on campus and I'd see just a crowd of them walking across. Yeah. Now, I met some fantastic people from the Indian Students Association. The one who does our podcast, I actually met her through there. But there were some problems that I had.
Careful what you say next.
Hey, Meetha, we love you, man. In fact, she was one of the few friends that I was happy to hang out with. A lot of them, they would ask me my major, and I would be like, they're like, hey, so how's like pre-med track treating you? I'm like, I'm not pre-med. It's like, oh, okay, you must be like bio then. I'm like, no, not bio. Yeah. And then it would just go, it was like a prestige level. I remember it very specifically. They would be like, oh, so you're like in math, right? Like you're a math major. So I'm like, no. Biomed? No. Then it would come all the way down to like accountant. I'm like, no. And there's one more. I was like, what about law? He's like, nah, I'm probably not gonna do that. It's like, what's your major? History. He's like, oh, history. Oh, okay. Yeah. And they would kind of just like walk away. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, fuck off, man. Like, Jesus Christ.
There's nothing left to talk about.
They're done talking. In fact, they would say, like, when I saw one of them, I was like, hey, they're like, yeah, I left that history class. I was like, what is it, man? Like, and then I would say, like, I'm actually a history major. And I get it. Not everyone loves history. History can be boring. It's taught not in the best way. And you like what you like. That's totally fine. But I felt bad because they were taught the same thing I was taught growing up, as like, kudos to my parents for letting me choose my major, because I wouldn't trade it, even though it's causes me anguish every once in a while. I still wouldn't trade it because I had great time doing it. They were only taught things to get them money instead of increasing their creativity and everything.
I think that's a taught minority way of thinking.
It's a survival mechanism. I get it.
Because I would say that's still prevalent in like other minority. It's really like you see like only the whites are allowed to freely choose like the majors, because they'll tell you like history you won't make it. What are you going to do with a history major? Not to diss your major.
I got it before.
That's the like thought plan, right?
Yeah,
because it's like, what are you going to do with it?
Teach, like,
right?
That was what I'm like. Yeah, I think.
But then like even teaching is like not the career we should hold in the high.
Which is why teaching is horrible right now.
Yeah,
because no one appreciates it. There's no patronage for it.
Yeah,
and you wonder why no one likes school anymore.
Yeah, because at least here we're paying our teachers $15 an hour and saying, be great, where fucking there's a guy at a warehouse making 19 or something.
Like, what's the point in taking? Because like they have to do 3 different jobs to be a teacher just to survive.
Exactly. Like your love for the job can only go so far.
Right. And people who do teach are amazing. Like they end up having to be unofficial guidance counselors.
Oh, yeah.
Aftercare programs, etc., etc. Like it goes on.
There's a show out now, Abbott Elementary. It's a comedy show.
I want to watch that.
I've watched the first episode, and I forgot the older black lady's name, the actress, but she had a line in there, like there was a serious moment where she was like, some days we're a teacher, some days we're the guidance counselor, some days we're the counselor, sometimes we're the second parent, sometimes we're just the parent.
Oh man, that's so sad but true. I'm glad that the guy from Everyone Hates Chris is doing something now.
Oh, him? He was in Walking Dead for a little bit. Then he died.
Oh, I didn't watch that. Oh, yeah. But I gave up after the second season, man. It was too much. But anyhow, he's back in that show.
Yeah.
Now. He's all grown up and everything.
It'll be interesting to see where his character goes. Because he's kind of like...
You see it through his eyes, don't you?
No.
Okay.
But it's almost in the vein of like The Office and probably Parks and Rec. I haven't really gotten into Parks and Rec yet, but in The Office, at first there was like that same character. Like in the first season, we thought it was Ryan.
Yeah.
Where he was just like...
I'll probably say Pam or Jim too.
Yeah, where they were just like, what the fuck is going on? Everybody else is crazy as fuck.
Right.
So he's kind of like that character right now, where it's kind of like he just like looking around like, okay,
like this is really fucking happening.
Right, exactly.
Like that's kind of the feeling I had whenever I was at SLU. I was told multiple times, I'm not shitting you, I was told multiple times like, yeah, you're the only brown guy that talks to white people. And I'm like, thank you? I don't know what to think about that now.
I mean, there was like my college experience was kind of spread out between like the different schools here, but I did always think that there was some type of I thought it was like a survival mechanism in a way, where it was like you would always see the Asian kids together, you would always see the Indian kids together.
Oh yeah, I hated that.
And at first it was like, is it because there's a limited number?
Like I get that to a point. Like
yeah.
I understand. I was vehemently like, I'm gonna hang out with everybody, and then now I'm like, it's kind of nice just talking to someone who understands my cultural background. But I don't see why you can't have both. I don't see why you can't hang out with different people and also hang out with your people from your own culture.
Right.
I don't like how you have to choose.
I don't think you ever had to choose. I think we just
make that
had the illusion that we had to. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like, not you necessarily or me, but just like we went into these certain settings and we were like survival mode. Like people go into survival mode.
Right.
And it's like, I'm going to go with the group that at least looks like me or knows my experience because it's just safer.
I'll feel safer doing that.
Yeah.
I now I'm at the point where I don't fault people for doing that, but I just feel bad that that's, the facilitation that causes that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow, we got really deep.
Yeah, we did.
We jumped off in a good way. It was fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because this is still like the wrap up episode of 2021.
Yeah.
What else has been going on? What else has been out there?
But too much. I mean, too much, but then nothing at the same time.
Right.
I mean, since we're sharing news, I guess I'll tell you my news that's going on, like why we moved a third time. I actually didn't tell you about this. I realized after we finished, we were actually going to try and record last week, but it's difficult to do that when you're living with your parents and all your stuff is packed away. I potentially could have died a couple months ago.
Oh shit! Was it rafting with Billy?
No. Billy kept me safe.
Oh.
But I was hanging out with some people and we were walking across the street. It was late at night. We saw a jazz show like out near like Grand and whatnot, and we
Grand Boulevard.
It was like right past Big Brothers Big Sisters, like Jazz at the Bistro area. Anyhow, that part of town.
I don't like where the story is going, but all right. Well, if it's where I think you were.
I mean, it's near SLU's campus.
But the problem with SLU's campus is you go too far.
The gentrification is real. Yeah.
Yeah, you go a little too far, and then you're lost, buddy. Response time is not quick.
But it doesn't. This story doesn't go the way you think.
Okay.
So we jaywalked because there was no one on the road, and it was 11 or something. So we jaywalked.
You can't die jaywalking in St. Louis, but all right.
Yeah.
Continue to say.
So we jaywalk and we get across the street.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, I hear someone hit a pothole really badly, and I'm like, oh, what kind of fucking idiot did this? I look around, not even joking, straight out of a fucking Marvel movie. The car has gone airborne and upside down.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it knocks the street light that we just were near, and it skids a little bit, and then there's a guy inside. I freeze. My friend and another guy in the group runs over. Apparently he was crash certified. And we stabilized the guy. I was the one that called 911, and paramedics came, took him away. He was responsive, but barely. We don't know what was going on. We just got away. We have no way to find out what happened, but it added kind of fuel to the fire for this, that I really should take advantage of my life and not just consistently be okay with where I am. And by that I mean I've never really been happy living in St. Louis.
Right.
For many reasons. It's just it's very diverse, but it's highly segregated in a lot of ways.
I've heard that from different people from different parts of the United States.
Yeah.
Like people who come here for different reasons, like either it's school or they, forced to move here.
Yeah.
They've all pointed that out, that it's
so weird.
Yeah.
And I was already in the works of okay, I'm ready to move and I'm ready to figure out my life and get out of St. Louis, if anything, and go to one of the coasts. And it definitely added fuel to that fire of yeah, this is a good shot. It's kind of like the universe saying shut the fuck up and just go, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And then I got an opportunity on my condo and I couldn't pass it down. And so that's why I'm here. For the next at least 8 months, I'll be looking for jobs and, trying to save up some more money and use the money I got from the condo sale towards moving out to most likely California.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's going to be a lot of changes this coming year. By the time this episode comes out, it'll probably be 2022.
Yeah.
But,
which is weird to say.
It is very weird to say. And yeah, so podcast format's going to change a little bit. It's going to be me either just talking to the void and you guys occasionally listening. And also I will have on guests as we go on. And of course, Lance will, always be welcome here and whatnot. But yeah, that's my update for what's going on with me.
I guess in this case, it is still a tragedy, or, those type of events can kind of be, as tragic as they are, be kind of motivating at the same time.
It is. It was a very odd, I mean, I was already #making moves on doing that, but
yeah,
that was just one thing that was even more motivation to be life is precious. You can be hurt at any moment. If we had not jaywalked, we probably would have gotten hit, which is terrifying. Still kind of shakes me up just talking about it.
It's one of those things too where it's kind of close to almost near-death situation, to where you're going to reflect on your life and you're going to be so it is you could think about all the good things, but for some reason our brain always goes to what's my regrets.
It's weird because you think it's almost I guess it's almost a facet of self-preservation. And at that point, your self-preservation kicks in. Is what have I not done completely?
Or what do I wish I could have done?
Right.
What I wish I could have been, what I could have said. So yeah, I mean, it's easy to say don't ignore them and go out and chase your dreams, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard because we got to think about the logistics of that.
And that has been the most that's what's been the weird part of the whole thing, because my therapist was telling me, like, there's going to be a lot of doubt that creeps in because you have been here for 25 years. I was born in New York, so technically, but I've been here for the majority of my life, and it's been comfortable.
Yeah,
I have everything I need here. I have, I'm comfortable in the sense of, like, my family's here. I have money, like, enough money to play around with and everything, but I just feel like I'm existing. And the moment I started thinking about moving, I'm like, I'm gonna end up on the streets. Like, every worst case scenario was going through my head. But every time I travel, I feel like I'm in a better place. Like, every time I go to LA or California, I feel like I'm in a better place. I feel like anytime that I'm not in St. Louis, I always feel better.
I mean, I've been in some places that, like, I won't say were, like, great, but, like, even just to be away almost to, like, because there's a certain sense that you can kind of escape responsibilities.
True.
It can be on, like, almost enticing and, like, seductive in a way, because it's like, even though, like, maybe you're not in a place you want to be, but it's like, but I don't have to go to my job tomorrow. Yeah. Like, there's nobody asking me to go do this errand. I don't have to run errands. I'm on vacation, or I'm just here visiting a friend. I'm here to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely escaping where you are, because I'm pretty sure somebody in California will say, oh, what we say about St. Louis, oh, I need to get out of this place, I need to move.
Right. And
every time I'm in fucking Idaho,
right,
I feel alive.
It's all perspective. So I was actually talking to someone, and they said, like, they lived in Miami for all their life, and they just turned, like, 34. Yeah. And they moved here to head a new, like, position for their job. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because you need a change of scenery, and you get to head up a new division, and that makes a whole bunch of life changes sense. And that's kind of where I'm at too, where it's not so much that it's because that I want just more genetic diversity, because, like, everywhere I look, it's just, and I love white people. Like, I've met awesome white people, but there's too many white people around here, and there's not enough, like, other cultures, and there's a lot of people that I've come in contact with, like, excluding, like, close friends that I'm with. They're okay with the small world, and they're okay with things being a certain way, and I am not, and I never have been. But I just accepted it and moved on. I didn't realize how much stress that was causing me.
Yeah.
The moment I was in LA back in November, and I was just seeing so many different types of people, and so many different types of food, and don't get me wrong, like, LA for sure has its problems, and everybody has been telling me, LA is kind of nuts. And maybe if it's not LA, it's somewhere in California, somewhere else that's a better fit for me then.
Because, LA is going to have everywhere has their problems.
Yeah, you can't escape problems. It's just like, are you okay with those specific problems?
Yeah, that's a very good point. You just got to be okay with it. And, be willing and open to change. Don't be afraid to even fail, knock on wood, I don't think you will at all. But,
thanks, man.
If, you fail, you always have some place to come back to.
Yeah.
But at least you can say at the, when it's all said and done, whenever, our time is up, whenever your time is up, you can say, hey, I went to LA and I, at the very least, made it work. Well, hopefully you made it work, or at the very least, I tried to make it work.
Right. Because, like, life, you will always have regrets, but the key is to have as few regrets as you can.
Mm-hmm.
This is the example that always comes to my mind. Like, and going into this little short example, I don't believe there are leagues in terms of dating people. I think people only say that when they don't feel like the couple deserves each other, or if they're jealous of the couple. But I'm saying this.
Oh, leagues. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
in terms of, like, she's too hot for him, or he's too good for her, et cetera, et cetera. There was a girl who I thought was way out of my league, but I knew if I didn't ask her out, at least try to, that I would regret it for the rest of my life.
And
she was seeing someone, so she, of course, turned me down. But I can at least, and she was, like, a brilliant girl, like, quietly had worked on the Mars rover back in, like, 2012 or something like that, and just casually dropped it in conversation one day. And but no, we're still friends, and she moved on to her thing, and she actually went to go work at MIT's business school for a while. She's fucking brilliant. But
Spider-Man tie-in right there. MIT. That was the school they were trying to get into.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no way.
Full circle.
Hey, I love it. But yeah, and it was a chance I took, and I'm glad I took it. And that's a goofy example of what I'm trying to do right now. And so, starting January, I'll start to be looking at jobs, and I got a life coach to help me keep me on track for those types of things. So
it was kind of goofy, but it was like the perfect example because it's like people say like the sexiest girl. There's always that doubt in the guy's head that, they're too hot for me. I never stand a chance. He'll never say yes. But it's probably more guys like that are like having the same thoughts. So she's never getting asked out. So she's single and it's like no one's shooting their shot. And it's the guy that shoots their shot. So,
right.
We could all it could be a bunch of people here in St. Louis or wherever who are like, oh, I need to get out of here. I need to, shoot my shot for California, Texas, New York, Miami, all these places that we want to go. But at the end of the day, we're like, nah, it'll never work. It'll never work out for me. So I'm just going to stay here where it's comfortable
Right. Comfortability is one of the quietest killers.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful statement and everything you just said, but every time I hear someone say shoot their shot, I feel like they're going to jizz all over the place.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's where you always hope it goes.
My man. My man. I don't think we can top that, can we?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I just want to make sure that we ran through everything that happened this year.
We jumped over.
I mean, we only talked Marvel, Shang-Chi. Did DC do anything this year?
If they did, I don't care.
Oh my god!
I don't.
Oh, the Snyder Cut, wasn't that this year?
Dude, I got through halfway of it, and I was like,
"You're better than me."
I was actually watching it with Billy, and I was like, I want to fucking go to sleep. I'm like, this is just. They put everything through like a dark filter, and they think it makes it great. And I'm like, why did you do that? That just makes me tired and depressed. This doesn't help me at all. Okay. Yeah. Anything else that happened this year?
Video games? Anything?
I've been playing the shit out of Hades.
Okay, I did. I have seen that.
Yeah, that's a really good game. Oh, well, did we ever talk about Ghost of Tsushima?
We talked Ghost of Tsushima. I think that came out. Didn't it come out in 2020?
I think it came out in 2020, yeah. We kept on talking about it, yeah.
I'm doing the Leo meme. The director cut came out this year.
That's right. The island of...
Yeah.
Where you get to find out about Jin's dad and everything.
Guardians of the Galaxy was like a sleeper hit.
Oh, the game?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, they came out of the movie that I missed?
Nah.
Okay, no.
It was a game. Like, I played it. It was
I heard... nothing but good things about it. Yeah.
It was like, and I think we were all nervous because Avengers was kind of a flop.
Yeah.
And this one was good.
Yeah, it's like they tried making everything pay to play, which never goes well.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
And then it was like kind of like Anthem and a bunch of other games kind of in the same vein, but it was like, it just didn't translate well.
Yeah.
With Marvel. But all right, so video games, movies, politics. Biden's been quiet.
It's kind of like the duct tape on the. It's like that meme of the guy holding the duct tape on that. And I'm like, okay, now it's gotten worse, and he created the climate change corpse, which I'm happy about.
Yeah.
But like, we need to fucking do things to stop destroying the earth. It's funny because like whenever. Like, I made some money from the condo sale, and I was like, yeah, I want to invest it in stocks that,
Oh, yeah, stocks is one thing. I'm trying stocks and crypto. Not doing well.
Oh, okay.
Not putting a lot of money in it, but...
But enough to, get some pocket change, I guess?
No.
Okay.
But...
Gotcha.
Maybe that's the 2020 thing I'll look into, how to...
2022, you mean?
Yeah, 2022.
I was like, 2020 is way gone now.
How to properly invest in crypto, but yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's just weird because like anytime I talk to anyone, I'll say 60 and up about like global warming or climate change, and they kind of just give me a weird look. I'm tired of those weird looks. I'm like, stop giving those weird looks and put money into renewable energy and shit.
I would say if I was 60 now. And you were talking about climate change, I would say That sucks for you.
That is unfortunately really true. Yeah.
I think that's where it looks.
Because they're like, I got maybe 15 years.
Right. Climate change. So you saying the world will be better in 30 years? I don't got that type of time, son.
Yeah, they're just like, I'm just going to go to Miami and party it up there.
Right.
Are you wearing Goku socks?
I am. My girlfriend bought me like this package of BBZ socks.
I just saw the symbol.
Some Goku socks. Tie back to the first episode where we talked about Dragon Ball Z.
That's right.
Yeah, I got some Goku socks.
Good for you. I thought they were just like, they just said ME on them, but I didn't know what they said.
Oh, yeah. This is like Ka. I think they're doing like the Kame.
Oh.
Like around like the red writing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Shit, I guess we covered 2021 in a nutshell.
All the things that we want to talk about in 2021.
I'm sure some other things happen.
I mean, we just wanted to do this kind of chill.
Yeah, the final as this iteration of They Need a Hobby podcast.
Yeah,
a new generation, Star Trek. Boom.
Next generation, dog.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, we're kind of going. Not our separate ways, but we're going... Yeah, we are kind of going our separate ways and trying new things and changes in our life. And I think it's for the better.
Final question.
Sad to see you go, but yeah.
Before we end this thing, what guests can I look forward to? What things does Kanal have planned?
I got a couple friends who have reached out that we just haven't been able to put together an episode.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely... I have two right off the top of my head. Stay tuned for them.
Oh, stay tuned.
One is a dude I've known from college. One is another one who I've met through karaoke, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then we'll change it up. I'm definitely gonna open up more this coming year.
Any more celebrity guests? Are we venturing back?
Oh yeah, I'm like, we're gonna call up Nimesh again and see how that goes.
Right.
No, fuck no. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm not. If that was gonna stop me, then I wouldn't get anything done.
Right.
I mean, I will say this: he's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I will never work with him again. Like, to be fair, there may have been things I could have done better, but I would have loved to have like feedback on it. But he's not gonna give me anything.
Right.
There's nothing for it. But do I wish him well? Yeah, sure. Just don't work with me ever again. That's all.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
But. I think One Punch Man's coming out soon. They talked about something about it.
Wasn't it like season 2 for the anime?
Live
action? Netflix?
No, not
let's
live
go.
action. No.
Netflix, let's go.
No live action for Saitama.
Just a bald guy punching people. It's a pretty simple formula. Superheroes are hot right now.
I mean, he is our Lord and Savior.
He is our Lord and Savior.
That's right. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, full circle. Lance, thank you for everything, brother.
All right.
We're doing our epic
Peace.
handshake. Now, you hear that clap right there. We're holding it like in Predator. It's good stuff.
I was about to say wasn't that like in a Rocky movie where they were like...
No, that's Carl Weathers was in Rocky.
Yeah,
he was in the first 4 Rockies.
Yeah, where they were just like holding hands almost.
And then they like flexed and zoomed in on it. Yeah, that's them. No, but seriously, man, thank you.
All right, I'm out.
I'll be back.
Hey fan peeps, thanks for joining, and as always, we appreciate any feedback. You can follow us on our Facebook page, They Need a Hobby, and also at TNAH Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
Hopefully one day we'll find a hobby and maybe even be one of the cool kids. Peace. AJ, takes about 5 months to catch up to whatever episode. And there's the Billy reference for today. I'm pretty sure he's seen Spider-Man. It's going to be a greatest hits from this point on.